Hello everybody, this is AK. I'm back. So in a recent video, a viewer asked me what did I think about Alibaba when I touched on the subject of whether China is still investable, right? And I shared an interview with Mr. Piyush Gupta, the CEO of DBS, of course, who said that China is still investable, but in certain sectors, right? But he didn't say anything about Alibaba.com. I told the viewer, I don't know anything, don't ask me. But I did blog about Alibaba before, and that was when its share price was sub $200 and it was on its way down. And what I said was it could go lower, right? The sentiments were very negative, and there were people who were 100% in Alibaba at that time, and I said it was a very risky strategy. And it fell to be, when it fell to below $100, I in response to a reader's comment, I said that, well, you know, if you thought it was value for money at say $150 and now that it is $80, have you changed your mind? You know, if you have changed your mind and you thought that it's no longer value for money, then of course it's a no-go. But then if you thought it was value for money $150 and it dropped to $80, and if your thesis has not changed, then you should be buying a lot more. And the way I rationalize this sort of thing is, you know, if you were not invested at $150, now there is $80, would you buy some? If the answer is yes, then you should be adding to your position. Right, so that's how I would rationalize such things. Right, that's from a very big picture kind of angle. I don't know the details about Alibaba, so that Alibaba shareholders or investors would have to go and find out for themselves. But the thing about not putting all our eggs in one basket, that applies not just to Alibaba, it applies to any investment, right? And so, for example, in my own instance, my portfolio was very heavy in REITs up to 2016, but it wasn't all in one single REIT, right? It was in several REITs, but they belong to the same asset class, so it wasn't really diversified in the true sense of the word, right? So in 2016, I started moving away from REITs and started moving into the banks, investing in DBS starting 2016, and then OCBC, and then UOB. So I was trying to move away from being too concentrated in REITs, right? So I always say that we don't know what we don't know, right? And not to put all our eggs in one basket, and it's better to be safe than sorry. And I came across a video interview with Mr. Dalio, whom I respect a lot. I think he has a very good bird's eye view of what's happening and what has happened over the centuries, right? And so what is his perspective now? I think we should heed his warning and respect what he has to say. So let's have a listen.
So number one is respect what you don't know and know how to diversify well, because diversifying allows you to reduce your risk by up to 80% without reducing your income, without you reducing expected return, if you know how to do that well. Okay. Then I think then what you have to do is you have to look at the relative appeal of asset classes. So when I go through that calculation, the relative cash now has a relatively attractive appeal. You know, sort of people, when I said cash is trash, and that got a lot of attention, but that's when cash was nil. Okay. Now, when you look at the expected returns for this moment, cash is a relatively attractive asset class at this moment. It's not just attractive because it has a relatively decent, not great, but decent expect. In other words, it has something like a 1.5% real return. Okay, not bad. And not bad in comparison to the other things. And it doesn't have price risk. So it looks relatively attractive, but let me.
Okay, so that's just a section, a clip from his interview, which I found online. So if he says that we should respect what we don't know, and we should diversify to reduce risk, and if we know how to do it well, we can reduce risk without reducing our income, the income that's generated by our portfolio. And that was exactly what I did starting in 2016, right? So I diversified and I reduced the risk, my portfolio risk, and I was still able to maintain and grow my passive income that's generated from my portfolio. So don't be too optimistic, right? Be pragmatic. Things do go wrong because we don't know what we don't know, right? Don't put all our eggs in one basket. Cash is not trash. Hold some cash. In my case, I'm actually hoarding cash now. I'm not being aggressive. I'm not adding aggressively to my positions. And this is just AK talking to himself and sharing wisdom from Mr. Ray Dalio. Okay? There'll be 2 more videos coming up, so stick around. Bye-bye.